Hey guys, Scripture here with another video, and I wanted to touch on the Rise of Skywalker comic book that they, I guess, finally came out with 5 years after the fact. It's super weird, you know? Sometimes they like preemptively come up with stuff to impact the story, and then with the sequels, it's always after the fact, trying to explain the stupidity. And in this particular case, it's a real mess because there's people that, like me, for example, I don't like this idea of bleeding kyber crystals, right? Like, I don't like that. I think it's corny. I think that taking a blue or whatever kyber crystal and, quote, bleeding it out because it's a living being and then it turns red and that's your Sith kyber crystal, I always found that corny, and I actually preferred the idea from the EU where the Darksiders, where the Sith use synthetic kyber crystals, because that's just more of a villainy type thing to do. So rather than going and finding them or going through this whole big process, they just make them themselves using tech. It's kind of a lot like the way I feel about like double-bladed lightsabers, right? Like that's the more easy path, right? You can fight easier, you have more ability. Like, I'm not saying that Darth Maul couldn't fight, but let's just say he only had one lightsaber. Now it's a lot more difficult. But he chose to use more tech or better tech, which again does feel more like a dark-sidery or villainy type thing to do. And I mean, we see that sort of at its peak with the Death Star. I think in this comic book, it's sort of an illustration of how they have to make Rey just sort of do everything. She's already done it all, right? In the trilogy, she's healed, she's shot lightning, she's defeated Sith Lord or non-Sith without any training. She's done Jedi mind tricks without any training. She just does everything, and that still wasn't enough. In all past situations, the assumption was, you know, if that happens, like we know the stupid thing exploded or whatever, and she's holding it at the end of The Last Jedi, the assumption was she would have to go get another one. And actually, what's interesting with this too is, why wouldn't they have had her make her own saber at this point, rather than her, I guess, welding it all back together and then using her life energy to repair the crystal from the sacred Jedi text. And of course, side note, the sacred text, of course, not Leia. Leia is just basically a cheerleader for Rey. She doesn't actually teach her anything. But that was kind of the assumption. What's really weird too is that would have actually given another story for them to write in these comics if she had to go out and get a new one. So instead of that, the texts teach her how to do this. I don't know how the lightsaber itself all of a sudden was welded back all neatly and nicely, you know, whatever. I'm sure the Jedi text showed her how to solder and weld as well, but it's just corny. Now, in this tweet, Star Wars Explained says that Rey healing Luke's kyber crystal. Now, in the comic, it says repair. So at least it's repair, because if it's a heal, there's nothing to heal. I mean, it never turned to the dark side in the Disney crystal bleed thing, which is super corny. And again, it's, why does she have to have all of these abilities, new abilities that haven't been done? Everything revolves around this character. There's nothing she can't do. I don't understand how the writers don't understand that makes her super boring. Super boring. Like, imagine she had to go find another crystal and whatever. What should have happened is she should have had to go find another crystal, and she made her yellow lightsaber, and that's what she should have had in the final film, for the entirety of the film. This whole obsession with the Luke Skywalker, which wasn't even Anakin's original saber. It's one that he made after Attack of the Clones. So I just don't get it. I don't get why they keep doing this weirdness. And the comic book, of course, features her doing incredible feats in the Force. And then Leia basically standing there and telling her how awesome she is. So it's just another, like, Mary Sue stupid thing. It's boring. Let me know in the comment section what you think. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Always helps the channel. Feel free to check anything else on my channel. Have yourselves a really good day.